Welcome to In Real Life, Foster Care Unfiltered, where real foster families share their journeys, the challenges, joys, and life-changing impact of opening their hearts and homes. In each episode, we explore the experiences of foster parents and the difference they make, with insights and guidance from Children's Home Society of North Carolina. If you've ever wondered what it takes to foster, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the In Real Life podcast. Today we have Miss Tori joining us for a conversation. Welcome, Tori.
Hello, greetings, salutations.
So, Tori, if you would help our listeners get to know a little bit about you and maybe tell us what your entry point into the foster care adoption arena has been.
Yes, so I'm Tori. I am originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, but back in the 2000s, wow, that's so long ago, I moved to the Charlotte area for work.
Okay.
And it was there that my ex-husband and I decided that we wanted to start a family, and the best pathway was through foster care.
Right.
We fostered a total of 4 children. We ended up adopting 3.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about your decision for you and your ex-husband. What kind of spoke to you about foster care that made you kind of say yes and open your home?
So a couple different reasons. One, I was an educator before becoming a employee at CHS, which I love. But I was an educator in the public school system, and I always worked in underserved communities. I started as a high school teacher, working with underserved youth in the high school level. I later became a school administrator, spent majority of my career in elementary school. And so I always had a heart for giving back. I always also was the administrator or teacher where families felt vulnerable enough to share when they needed support, whether it was with their children or with their family as a whole. And so I've always had that heart for advocacy and giving back. And then also my ex-husband's family had a very blended family where he had several aunts and uncles who were adopted. And so, even before we found out that growing our family was going to be through foster and adoption, we always said that that was going to be a part of our family creation. And so we did our research. So I didn't know there were so many adoption agencies and foster agencies across North Carolina. But when I was researching, Children's Home Society was what I considered the best for me because of all of the longevity, being around for 100 and I think it's 24 years now, as well as being there to provide support for all types of families. It just really spoke to me. So we submitted it wasn't an online application then. I think I had to call.
Paper. We're on paper back then.
Yes. So I called. We set up a meeting with our intake social worker, Michelle Marvel, and it's been history since then.
So take me back to then. You've adopted 3 kids. You said you fostered 4. If you remember back then, years ago, going from a family of just you and your husband to kind of an instantaneous family of 6. Do you remember what that first day? Anything stick out from that for you?
So it started with just me and my husband. I was at work as an elementary school assistant principal. I got a call. My team already knew, like, hey, I'm on a wait list. I'm waiting. I kept feeling like I was in double Dutch, just ready to jump in the ropes. And we got the call. And at first it was just my 2 sons. They were 2 years old and 10 months old. At that time, we did not know that their birth mother was expecting, but we met at the DHHS office in Gastonia. And I remember that they gave my oldest son to my ex-husband and he laid on his shoulder. And then they gave them my little guy, which I call my Bop.
You call him your what now?
My Bop, B-O-P.
Your Bop. Okay.
Bop. Big old head, little bitty body, but cutest.
I love it.
And that name still sticks. He tells people my name is not Liam, my name is Bob.
Okay.
But he laid on my shoulder, and that's where he's been ever since. Like, he is a through and through mama's boy. He is my shadow, more than my shadow is my shadow. And so I remember that first night just taking every car seat that we had because we knew that we was going to foster, birth to 7. So we had a booster seat, we had a high back car seat, and we had the infant carrier.
You were prepared.
We were prepared because this is something that we had really wanted to do. So I just remember like just holding them and the feel of them, and also keeping in the back of my mind something that our teacher in our map classes told us was like, this might be a great day for you as someone who's wanting to open your heart and open your family to a child or children in need. But you also got to remember this might be the worst day on earth for the children. And so knowing that and trying to maintain that balance to ensure that my passion, desire, and love, because I loved them when I first saw them, did
Mhm.
not over or supersede what their experience, even though they were 2 years old and 10 months old, making sure my joy did not supersede their pain.
Yes. I love that reflection, and it sounds like you kept reminding yourself of that. And I
Yes.
can only imagine for them, I'm sure they felt that too. I think, and you being an educator and a parent, I think a lot of times our nonverbals speak more to kids than our verbals do.
Yes, most definitely. Still to this day, I have a little munchkin, my daughter, who's like, Mommy, your smile's not right. What's wrong with you? They're so intuitive about things. But, what was shocking is not necessarily the first day, but it was the second day, because what I didn't know, not knowing what I don't know, is when we had to take them in for their medical checkup to see like how is the medical needs of the child, and then meeting their birth mom.
Mm-hmm.
Not expecting that, but I didn't know what to do. I just was my normal self. She was very kind, very genuine with us, and we could obviously see that she was expecting at that time. And so, after we went through the doctor's appointment and she answered questions, and I have pictures from that day that I share back with my children that they've seen. And my daughter's like, "Where was I? I wasn't here. I've always been here." I was like, "No, you had to be born." But, just having that conversation, and what you see is a mom to mom
Mm-hmm.
with a mom that's in need, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I told her then, which I've kept my word to, like I'll keep you updated as much as I can. I'll give you pictures, but we'll follow what the plan is for the children at this time. And my ex-husband and I had a conversation afterwards, like, she's expecting. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, at that time, that was told there's no social workers, not social worker. There are not many foster parents in this area. What if she had that baby? And so
What does
with
it
that
mean?
same day, we told our social worker, like, hey, if she goes into labor, we will take in the baby. So then you have to imagine in a month's time, I
Mm-hmm.
had two toddlers and an infant. I didn't get this
Wow.
experience like gradual stages. I had all the stages thrown
It
at
was
me
like, welcome to
at
parenthood.
bam, here you go. I'm so grateful for the MAP classes, and I'm grateful that I was an educator to have some, but also I was not an early childhood educator. I was an early childhood leader, but
Okay.
I taught high school. My thing was, they can tie their shoes in high school.
They
So
go to the bathroom by themselves.
right, don't need me to do any of those things.
Yeah.
But when I look at it now, them being 10, 9, and 8, I cherish those moments, even the hard times,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen where they've come from in the beginning to where they are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. So tell us about some of the challenges maybe early on and where you are today in some of those challenges.
Yes. So, being that we live in the South, and we live in a very diverse world, but the South is the South as it is. I am African American. My ex-husband's African American. My current husband is African American, and my little crew, which is what I call my three kids together, they are Caucasian.
Okay.
So navigating landscape in the South with what I would call a reverse transracial adoption, it looks different. Because lots of time what you see displayed in the media or on movies, you may have a Caucasian family adopting or raising children of color, whether it be African
Mm-hmm.
American, Latinx, Asian American, is always that dichotomy. And so when I first came in, I did tell our intake social worker, we were both very honest, like we have diverse families, so we didn't care for us that our children were not the same ethnicity or race. But Michelle was very clear. She was like, you guys may not care, but you need to go talk to your family to see
Right.
if they care. Because unfortunately, in some circumstances, some family members may not want to interact with your children in that way. We've seen that happen where families bring in kids that are not the same race or ethnicity, and their extended family does not accept them at the same way. So we had a conversation with our village, with our parents, our sibling, well, my siblings, and everybody was like, cool, we're good. Long as they, whether they're with you for now or with you forever, we will support you and we will love them just the same. And that's still true.
I love that you highlight that, of making sure, because you want your kids to always feel included and welcome.
Right. I mean, so there wasn't a lot of reading materials about, like, you're a Black mom and you have Caucasian children. What do you do here?
Mhm.
So I was reading books about transracial adoption, and it was kind of hard to connect because they're
Mhm.
like, well, make sure that you have people that are friends of their culture. And I'm like, well, I have a diverse set of friends. My best friend is Caucasian American. And I'm like, okay, so we got friends. We go to a diverse church. Now I can tell you, I had to get a schooling on hair care
Yeah.
because I'm African American and I have natural hair, and my children did not. And I was like, well, there's like 100 million products. When do you start using Big People shampoo? What kind of shampoo? Do I just use the Johnson & Johnson? And my really close friend who's Caucasian, she was like, girl, just start with the Johnson & Johnson and some detangling spray. You'll be good for a while.
But you were comfortable to ask the question.
Yes, like because you don't know what you don't know. And so what we had to really navigate is what I had to navigate is my children, they just saw me and their dad as mom and dad. It wasn't until other people pointed it out that there was something different. I remember when my son Landon was 3 and he was in early pre-K, and I came to pick him up, and a little kid was like, there go Landon's brown mommy. And Landon was looking around like, who are they talking about? I'm the only Landon out here. But we got in the car, and his little 3-year-old self, he was like, Mom, and he couldn't pronounce T's at the time. And he was like, Mom, I'm white. I said, are you trying to say the color white? And he's like, yes. And I said, well, is that what you think you are? And he's like, yes. And he was like, but you're brown. And I said, yeah, mommy's brown. And he had this little inquisitive look on his face, and you could see the wheels turning. And he scrunched up his little nose and pushed up his glasses. And then he was like, but you're still my mom. And I was like, of course. And he was like, okay, no problems. And, and that's the extent to his world. Like,
Yeah.
they have never seen us as something different. It's the outside world who says something about us being different. Like, I've been called the nanny. Like, I've had people come up to me in the Target and be like, oh, you're such a wonderful nanny. And I'm like, how do you just come and assume that is my occupation? These are my children. Or they feel like they can come over and just touch my kids and be like, oh, you're just in foster. And I've told them, like, hey, you can look, but do not touch my children. Like, first off, y'all know where your hands been. Are they clean? And I'll teach my kids safe boundaries. Like, I'm not the family person that's like, go hug auntie or uncle or grandma. No, we are all about boundaries. You need to ask me for a hug or before you touch me. And so, just navigating the looks. Like, when my daughter was young, she was on specialized formula, and we had to go to a certain grocery store. I won't name them, but we had to go to a certain grocery store that was closest to my house, and they would not allow me to get my WIC because they said I did not look like my children, even though I gave them my WIC wallet that the WIC office told me that you use. Like, you show them your driver's license and your signature, and you show them. And I was like, well, do you do this to every customer that comes in? What if you got a biracial family, multiracial family, and they don't look alike? And he refused to honor, and I had to file a complaint in with WIC and the grocery store corporate office. Mind you, they apologized, but that feeling was awful. Like, awful.
I can only imagine.
Just because, here I am trying to get this expensive formula so I can feed my kids, and this is what I am experiencing. And so I think there just needs to be more transparency of that. Families truly don't have to match. And why in 2025 are we still dealing with, oh, so they don't look like you, so they must, something's amiss here. Like, something's amiss. So those are some of the struggles that I've had to try to mitigate. And as my kids are getting older, having those tough conversations with them because they're now in upper elementary school and people pointed out, give a perfect example. My son was getting some additional support in after school, and the person that was supporting him was a Caucasian female.
Okay.
Well, they were doing well until one day I get a call that he has refused to talk to the support anymore because the kids in the school were telling Landon that, well, that's your birth mom coming to take you back.
Oh,
That upset him.
can imagine.
So we had a conversation, and I was like, well, I've always told my children, like, once you get to a certain age, 18, if you want to try to establish a contact with your birth mom, I would support them in that. And so, and they've seen pictures. I have pictures of her and their additional siblings and things of that nature. But for that child to say that, again, this is a child. So the child has had to hear it from someplace else.
Right.
So, just letting people in the community know, like, the things that you say that you don't think your children are hearing, they understand more than you know, and they repeat it. And it can have some pretty not so great outcomes for the children
Right.
that deal with that. Because Landon, he refused to support, and so we had to start all the way over. And if you know anything about getting support for kids who have some learning needs, it's a long wait list.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so we're now, just back trying to mitigate it again.
Yeah.
There are approximately 11,000 children in North Carolina who need a permanent, safe, and loving home. Can you make a difference? Children's Home Society offers training, resources, and support to help you become a licensed foster parent. Learn more at chsnc.org and start your foster care journey today.
I think it's interesting that you highlight that because you're talking about the transracial, transcultural pieces and how it's affected your family. But even in that, although it started out as something probably from that piece of, who he is and who your family is, it reached back and triggered some of his trauma of, could I leave mom and dad? And the way that our kids conceptualize. And it sounds like your family has a very open dynamic that you guys just kind of address and talk about whatever's going on.
Yes, I mean, we have no choice because, one, we live in a world that, looks at people first and then try to get to know them second. And so I want them to have the words. That's always been the biggest thing about between their dad and their stepfather and I, is that sometimes kids react the way that they do because they don't have the words to defend themselves or to respond when someone says something to them. So what we try to do is talk through some of these scenarios in age appropriate fashion ahead of time. If they ask the tough questions, we answer the tough questions in a way that they can understand, with the caveat that I always say, when you get a little bit older, I'll be able to go into a little more detail. Just because developmentally, to tell them all the in and out, they don't necessarily 100% understand. And I don't want them to internalize something or be confused about something when they're just not ready, developmentally to understand that. So we do try to have open conversations. I keep them active in various organizations across our area, like they play rec ball, basketball, and soccer, and my daughter's in dance and Girl Scouts. So I try to keep them interacting with different people, and the people ask questions, right? And so, my daughter's Girl Scout troop, she's the only, and this was not by choice, it was just the troop we fell into, but she's the only Caucasian girl in the troop. But she made friends, she connects, and she led a discussion about how she was adopted and how she loves her mom and she loves her dad and her family. And, where most kids like ask for presents and things for their birthday, my children, all three of them, always ask a situation where their family can be there. Like, that's all they want. They want all their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, all of them there to be with them. And that's their thing. They treasure family.
Family. I love that. Yeah. Wow. So much wisdom there. I love the whole prepare, not protect. I think as adults, we want to protect and shield kids from ever being hurt. But the reality is that we live in a world that is not always accepting and kind. So we have to prepare kids. And it sounds like you and your ex-husband and your current husband have done that through role modeling, having difficult conversations that are developmentally appropriate so that they can navigate in the world.
Yes, and also like having the conversations where they're going to go, because sometimes things happen because people don't want to ask the questions. Nobody wants to go up and be like, "What's your story?" Which is why the people, when I used to go to the Target, would be like, "Oh, you're a great nanny," or "Where they dad?" And then when my ex-husband would come up, or my current husband come up, and be like, "I'm confused." Well, just ask the question, but just ask it with respect. Don't make assumptions and don't be judgmental. Just ask the question. And I have crafted my answer, because in the beginning, I did not have a crafty answer. I did not. I'm just going to admit it. I talked with my feelings, but then I also realized like this can be an opportunity to educate someone on, hey, there's a need for foster and adoptive parents community. So, hey, why don't you check out CHS? That's what I grew to say. In the beginning, I did not say that. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, because I was trying to protect my kids, and I was trying to also protect myself, because I have systems that I have to navigate that other people don't necessarily have to navigate, even if they are transracial. I have to navigate the fact that somebody might think that I am kidnapping my child, or my husband or my ex-husband are being inappropriate with the children if they're not with me, because they see me as a mom, and the defenses go down. But when they see my ex-husband, my kid's father, and my current husband, who are African American men, like it's a whole different ball game of what society thinks. Like, you take my daughter to the bathroom where she has to go, is a whole different thing. Those are things now that we have to be mindful of. We're not worried and we're not afraid. It is what happens when someone thinks differently, and then it escalates. And so, we have taught our kids, like, they know our names, and our address and our phone number, and they know the roles of each person, just so in case like anything happens, God forbid, that they have the words to say, like, this is my mom, that is my stepdad, and I call my stepdad Mr. Luther, and that's my daddy, and that's my grandma, because that's just the time we live in now. I have to always be mindful of that. And sometimes I wonder, and I've talked to other families who've adopted, not necessarily who have adopted like me, but like they don't have, that's the thing they don't have. They don't have that worry that I have to carry.
Yeah. But it sounds like you do it in such a natural way. I would imagine your children don't view it as fear when they go out, but they're just prepared of what to do if this happens.
Yeah, they don't care. They're like, especially my daughter. Oh my goodness. I've always raised her to stand on her ground and use her voice. And so she'll be like, that's my mama. Or if I'm at the other side of the store and she has gone to go look at the clothes, and I'm like, Chloe Grace, get over here. And she'll be like, and people are looking, that's my mom. I'm coming. Mommy, I'm coming. So, just giving them the confidence in the words. I think that's the biggest thing. And, also letting your kids know what's going on in the world. So I am a person who listens to a lot of podcasts and news, free news media. And my kids be like, oh my gosh, we're getting in the car again and we're listening to the news. But what I've started to realize is that because I've done it so often, they know what's going on in the world. Now, I don't let them listen to everything, because again,
Right.
age appropriateness and understanding, and just, they don't need to know the ins and outs all the time. But they ask questions and I answer them. And if I don't know the answer to the question, instead of making something up, I go and say, let's go figure it out together. And let's go try to find things. Because, like, for example, my kids were like, are there books about family like ours? Because when we first got them, I tried to make sure we had books about, I'm in foster care, I am adopted, my family's different. Like, we had all these children's books. But, my middle son, my Bob, was like, these families don't look like us. And I'm like, you're right, son. They don't look like us. Maybe someday somebody will write a book that looks like us. But the closest we found is a book called Families, Families, Families. And I love it. It's animals as families.
Uh-huh.
And it shows, like, different types of families together, but it's all animals. So we can take out the race and ethnicity aspect. It's just like we got a frog married to a duck, and they have adopted these bunny rabbit kids. Like my children were able to identify with that. My son was actually reading that book at breakfast this morning while we were getting ready for school. So, representation is important, and that's what I wish we had more representation of what my family looks like.
Might be a call for you to become a children's author, Tori. I don't know.
We shall see. I don't know what the book's going to be called, but The Little Crew and Me, I don't know.
I like it.
I have a story. I did write them a children's, like I wrote it and I read it to them as nowhere else but in our, little family. Just to let them know, like, our key motto is love makes a family. Like that's what we like. I have it on t-shirts every year, on our family day. That's the day that our adoption was finalized. We get a new shirt with a family saying on it with the adoption symbol. And so, that's our family motto, like love makes a family. It's not necessarily what you look like, where you come from. It's the love that we have between each of us. And that's really made it, even on the most challenging days, because raising children is challenging.
Absolutely.
Whether you birth them in your womb or birth them from your heart, raising kids is challenging. However, we always go back to the fact that we love each other, and we are a family of bucket fillers, not a family of bucket dippers.
So many nuggets of wisdom. I love that. Love makes the family.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about some of the challenges that you guys have experienced as a family. What are some of the joys or highlights?
I have so many. So some of the joys and highlights of my little crew is just watching the wheels turn, the light bulbs come on, and finding their passions. So like my oldest son, he is autistic, but he's high functioning, and he is a rule follower. He wants everybody else to follow the rules. Sometimes he might bend them from himself, but he is a rule follower and he's a pattern seeker. And so I've always put him in sports since he was 3 years old. So he's always played soccer. We tried baseball, that was not his thing, but basketball. And to watch him get out there and excel in those two areas is like amazing, because he sees patterns on the field. He sees patterns on the court and how people play. And on top of that, he is a fantastic teammate. Like when he's on the sideline, he walks and follows the coach who's ever coaching, and he's talking to the coach, and then when his teammates come off the side, he's giving them high five. If somebody from the opposing team falls down, he could be on the other side of the field. He'll run over to the other side of the field and be like, "Are you okay?" and pick them up. And so I just think about like all those things that he loves and he enjoys doing, and he now himself understanding, like, hey mom, there's an autism day. I have autism and it just means my brain works differently. And like he's so proud, because before he used to have such fear of different things. Now he has like this confidence and this walk, and he's 10 years old, and I love that with him. With my middle son, my Bob, my little heart on my sleeve, he is a nurturer. Bob loves babies. I have a niece who is just turned 14 months old, and that is his best friend. When my other niece is now 3 was born, she was his best friend. Like he loves taking care of babies, being near babies, playing with babies, feeding babies, and he also loves just helping people. He loves helping his grandparents. Like if you're on either end of the spectrum, if you're an infant or if you are elderly, Liam wants to be there to support you, and he wants to help you in any way. He wants to do arts and crafts for you. I know we're not going to have on camera, but like he makes me little notes all the time.
Thank you.
Arts and crafts.
He's a good artist.
Yeah.
And look, the adoption. I love it.
Yes. So like that is Liam. He is our person that has a big heart and a nurturing soul and just wants to help everyone. And he's also pretty good at baseball. He's been playing upper class since he was 8 years old. And then my daughter, my Chloe Grace, the youngest of the bunch, She is my shadow. You would think that I had birthed this child because she has so much of my personality, which at times arguing with yourself is really hard because it's like, I want you to be a strong-willed, strong-minded, confident person, but just not with me right now when I'm telling you to go do something. I just
Just
need
do
you
what
to do what I ask you to do and not tell me all the reasons why you should do it a different way right now.
Yeah.
But she had some health challenges and she has overcome those health challenges. You would know. You
Mm,
would look at my daughter and totally believe that she is a child that is 100% well. But she fights a battle for wellness every single day. But she does
mm.
it with a smile. She does it with pizzazz and probably a cartwheel into a split because she does dance and she
Well,
loves
in a split.
to
Okay.
dance everywhere that she goes. And so, like, seeing my children grow academically as well, socially, emotionally as well, and hone into the things that they love, that's been the coolest part. Like, I thought I missed the baby stages. I do not. I do not miss diapers. That's the parts I don't miss because I had 3 kids at diapers at once. Do not miss
Right.
that at all. But seeing from where they started, because they were behind the starting line.
Hmm.
To see them now running their own race and developing at their own path and learning from, because I'm a big believer in natural consequences. I done coached you along. This is what's gonna happen if you don't listen to the coaching. Like,
Hmm.
having them have those reflective moments and then just seeing the people that they're becoming, it's pretty cool. Like, I can't explain it. Like, just go see them make friends when I knew making friends used to be a challenge. To see
Hmm.
them try something new and not be afraid to try something new. To tell me, like, Mom, I do not like that. Because I'm not one of those families where your kids can't tell you they don't like something. You may not
Right.
like that I'm preparing these black eyed peas for you, but you get 2 bites of them until you make your own dinner someday. But just tell them, having those open conversations and care for one another, and even on the challenging days, at the end of the day, when I might be like, oh, I probably got a C today as a mom, or whew, I probably got a 69F as a mom today. That's what I'm thinking. My
Not
kids
them.
are like, Mom, you're the best mom ever. I rate your meal 1,000 out of 1,000. I love you so much. And so just knowing that and seeing that every day, knowing their start, that's very rewarding for me. And then also now they're starting to have more questions.
Mm.
They have asked questions, whereas before they would occasionally want to bring out the photo albums that I created for them, because that's something that our social workers in the beginning recommended. Like, we don't know. In the beginning, most of the plans are reunification. You never
Right.
know what's going to happen. However, create books for your children. If you have pictures of their birth family, whether it's their parents or if they have siblings or extended family, like,
Hmm.
that's a part of who they are. And there might be a time
Hmm.
when you don't get that information anymore. And so, I've kept pictures from them and for them. And so, like, they're asking questions now, like, okay, so where was I born? Okay.
Hmm.
Was I in the hospital? What was, they have not ever asked, and just no, I don't know why. They've never asked about like their birth fathers. They've always just inquired about their birth mother.
Okay.
Like, why are we with you? And so, I've had to frame it and I tell them, like, everybody needs help sometimes. And
Hmm.
the help for your birth mom. And, God had it be that you guys remain with us.
Hmm.
And are you okay with that? And they're like, yeah, we're okay with that. So, I thought at one point that I was going to be afraid of those questions because in my heart, I know I did not birth them in my womb, but they're my babies.
Right.
But I also understand that at some point, someday, whenever, they'll realize that more than anything, that they're loved. And it's not just loved by me. I know that their birth mom loves them
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm. Yeah. From one of my favorite children's books on adoption is called A Place in My Heart. And it talks about that, how heart is a huge organ. It's a little teddy bear or something, but that just because, and family doesn't have to be the people that live in your house. Family is a bigger concept than that.
Right. And I think they've learned that with like my best friend. We've been friends since, oh gosh, we are old. We were in our 20s. We're in our 40s now. And she has a son, and that's their cousin, and that's their auntie and their uncle, and her family are their other aunties and uncles. And so they understand that family is not also something that you're born within and have your last name, but they also understand that there are people that make you feel like family.
Yeah.
And so that's also been very important, because what I have read is something that I do keep in the back of my mind. It's not a fear, but it's something that I've read is about how some transracially adopted young people never felt included in their family. Right? Like they've been a part of family. They're very grateful for the upbringing and the opportunities and the love, but they didn't feel connected. And so it's very important for me to always try to create conditions where they feel connected
To their heritage and their culture. Absolutely.
Yes. And so, we try to learn lots of different things. We go to different museums. We read different types of books. We listen to things from different perspectives. Our favorite thing to do as a family is watch Wheel of Fortune. Their dad asked them the other day, they're like, why y'all acting so old? And I'm like, because we watched Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy as a kid. So, and because my son loves puzzles, he's like, I've solved 37 puzzles this week, Mom. This is great. And then now they get a whiteboard and they play Wheel of Fortune by themselves at home. They make up their own themes that, mind you, nobody else knows what this theme is. When they be telling me what it's supposed to be, I'm like, those things don't go together, but okay.
You do you, boo.
So, just always trying to make them feel included and understand that, like, there are going to be days that I have to prepare for. I don't know what they're going to be. But I also say if there are more resources and opportunities for families that look like mine to engage, we could be prepared.
Yeah, love that. But what would you say is your greatest hope for Landon and Liam and Chloe Grace?
My greatest hope for them is that they grow up to be good, kind humans that give back into their community. We are still a lot around service learning. We do a lot of, activities as a family. But I just honestly, in the world that we live in, I want my children to be the children that see that, hey, somebody else is struggling. I have a strength that can cover their weakness. Hey, I have a skill that can help our entire community, not just myself or not just my family. And I try to model that for them, their dad and their stepdad as well. Try to model for them that, like, yes, we are one person in this big world, but we all together have to live in this world, and we all have something to offer into our community. And so that's what I want them to be. Like I told them, because they're right now, they've already told me that they're going to A&T like daddy, except for Liam. Liam's going to go to UNCG like mommy.
Okay.
But they're going to go to A&T and they're going to be this and this and that. And I'm like, that's all well and fine. But if you wanted to go to GTCC, guess what? You can go there. If you want to go and take some time, because this is something I had to learn. Like, if you need to take like a couple months from school because you done schooled yourself to school so much, then we figure it out, that is okay. But I just want you to do something that's self-sustaining, that you enjoy, because life's too short to be working in a career field that you're miserable with, and that give back to your community. And so that is what I want for them. I want them to see people, see others as humans, and let the experience that they had as children and growing up in a transracial family to see that love makes a family. Love makes a community. We don't all have to be alike to love one another.
I love that, Tori. Thank you for that wisdom. Once we're wrapping up, for our listeners who have been listening to us the last few minutes here, any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave to our listeners?
I would say, I'm still standing on my soapbox. There are so many children that need families. They may not need you forever, Because, in fostering, we might be a stopping ground, just for a few moments for a child. As I told you in the beginning, I fostered 4 children. I had a additional young lady that I fostered beyond the adoption of my 3, and she was with us for a few months. And that's what she needed, was for the few months. She needed to be in a safe space where she could feel all her feels due to what she dealt with for those few months. She was not a baby. She was a upper elementary school kid. These children need families. They're not, and it's something that I've been hearing, they're not bad kids. Okay. They're not. They're children. If children are coming into foster care, they're children who've been in situations that some adults wouldn't even survive. And so the fact that they survived and they're trying to live outside of that, they need our community to be there for them. So be a foster parent, or if you want to be a foster parent, be a guardian ad litem, which advocates for kids. Go and volunteer in organizations that support children and families that are in foster care. Because if we don't support the children in our community who are the most vulnerable, they become adults that may not have the skills necessary to thrive back into our community. So we have to do it. We can't sit around and say, oh, that's not my neighborhood, or that's not my kid, or those them kids over there. We need everybody in our community to step up for our children. And please consider being a foster parent, because you can change a life, and it may not seem like it. Is it hard? Yes, because as I said before, their first day might be their worst day.
Right.
They need people who's going to stand there for their worst days.
Wow. Wow, Tori. Thank you for that wisdom and for speaking from your experience to our listeners. And thank you for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on In Real Life, Foster Care Unfiltered. If you're interested in becoming a foster parent or supporting children in foster care, visit chsnc.org to learn more. And if you're a current or former foster parent with a story to share, email us at inreallifepodcast@chsnc.org.